Hello, welcome to the holiday season. We are pairing some Christmas classics with wine. Only this is for a more warm Christmas, so South Africa, Chile, Australia, etc. Wine and food pairing is something that has stumped me for the past 6 years. The problem is that there are an insurmountable amount of rules, flavors, alcohol, sweetness. So we are going to make this simple-ish for you by focusing on 2 specific rules. Number 1 is the acidity, and number 2 is the intensity of both wine and foods. For the acidity, the food's acidity cannot be higher than the wine's acidity. If and when that happens, ye beware, the wine will become imbalanced. Flabby is the great word that the in the nose use, and it possibly will become also a bit bitter. So you need a higher acid wine when pairing it with food. Rule number 2, and your second and final rule, is the intensity. You don't want to have one be more intense than the other. So say a very intense chili or curry with a very light, soft wine. Or the inverse, a very intense, say, Shiraz, which is a very big peppery wine with a light salad. You need the 2 to be in balance for the intensity. We're going to give you 3 different courses, so you can copy and paste this if you will. All of the recipes for the food are in the description below. So let's begin. Course number 1, smoked salmon toasts. So you likely are having the walking dishes, finger foods. What you're using here is carrots as salmon, and you're putting it with soy sauce and capers to give it that sort of ocean taste. It's summer, so you likely are going to be reaching for a light white wine. And here you can use either a Riesling or a Sauvignon Blanc. Soy sauce has umami in it, and what umami does is it makes food taste delicious. It's literally translated to delicious in Japanese, but what umami does to the wine is it makes it bitter. It turns the tannins in the wine bitter. So you want a white wine that's unoaked with no tannins, or you could go for a light red. Your second option is hummus. Yum. Stick with Sauvignon Blanc. The acidity in the Sauvignon Blanc does that great thing people love saying, it cuts through the creaminess. Okay, item number 3. Let's say now you're sitting down, so you have a salad. The Sauvignon Blanc works great with a salad. Number 1, because although it is what you call an aromatic grape, so there's either aromatic or non-aromatic. Sauvignon Blanc is aromatic. A grape like Chardonnay is not aromatic, which is why they're also treated differently. So Sauvignon Blanc is going to always be like fresh and light. Chardonnay will often be oaked. It's because they want to do something with it. It's a bit of a blank canvas. Sauvignon Blanc has the aromatics of green pepper or of grass. Chardonnay is that blank canvas, so you can do things like oaking it and give it those nice vanilla notes. There's a lot to work with there, which is why I prefer Chardonnay. So Sauvignon Blanc is aromatic, but it's gentle enough so that it won't wash out the flavors of the cucumbers or the tomatoes in the salad. So in case you hadn't noticed or you sort of zoned out there for a second, it's winter here, so that was my geyser just clicking on. All of the options for starters can be Sauvignon Blanc, which is extremely easy to find, or if you want to try something which for most people is a bit different, you can go with a Riesling. German Riesling, Canadian Riesling, Australian Riesling, there's quite a few places that do it. So you should be able to find that. It's just not as common for people to have at the dinner table. Move on to your second course, the main course. I'm very excited. We have some really bizarre options, starting with my personal favorite. I've made this multiple times for Thanksgiving, which is a creamy kale and chickpea salad. This is from Minimalist Baker. This salad has creamy notes from a tahini dressing and then the masala chickpeas. So with something intense like this, you're going to need a bigger white. Now you have your oaked Chardonnay, and that can stand up to these flavors. If you're wanting to go red, introducing Pinot Noir or Gamay. So both of these reds, Pinot Noir or Gamay, have a great enough acidity that makes them wonderful food wines. But what I also like about them is particularly for this temperature, for a warmer temperature, Pinot Noir and Gamay can be chilled slightly. So they're perfect red wines for summertime. Which brings us to our next food, quinoa stuffed mushrooms. Sticking with Gamay, and Pinot Noir. Cooked mushrooms also contain umami, just as the soy sauce did. And as we were saying, umami can turn a red wine bitter because of tannins. So with Pinot Noir and Gamay, it's great because they are low in tannins. So you're unlikely to get any bitterness there. Also, there are things called microflavors. So this makes, this is why I don't like talking about specific flavors in the wine and specific flavors in the food, is because unless you are a trained taster or a sommelier or wine expert, it's really unlikely that you're going to taste all of the cherries or the earth flavors or the dried herbs in a wine. But just so that you know, the Pinot Noir will have an earthy flavor that does match really nicely with the earthy flavors of the mushrooms. So possibly a placebo effect, but now you know. Pinot Noir earthiness, mushroom earthiness go very well together. Your third of 3 options for mains are stuffing bowls. I think this is absolutely genius. So you have these bowls that taste of the stuffing with sage and thyme and breadcrumbs, but you can serve them cold, which is great for this because you don't really want to be serving piping hot dishes when it's like 25, 30 degrees Celsius outside. So now we're moving on to a different wine. We move into Italy. Italian reds are generally fantastic food wines because they have quite a high acidity. We are focusing on the classic Chianti. Chianti has a big enough body to stand up to the big intensity of the stuffing bowl, and the sour cranberry in the stuffing isn't enough to throw the Chianti's acid out of whack. Yum. So now we have the 4th and final item. This one is completely ridiculous. I tried this last year and it was a major flop. It is roasted watermelon. It is literally a watermelon that you have let sit overnight, covered in salt. It's dehydrated, so now you have something dense. When you cut it, it can potentially resemble a ham, which is what you want from all your fruits, don't you? And you can either barbecue it or you can put it into an oven. Please heed my warning. Do not overcompensate for the sweetness by stuffing it with herbs, which is what I did. So it was just like licking a piece of rosemary. It was terrible. Having said that, good luck to you. We're going to stick with Chianti for those reasons. We still have some herbaceousness. And now, talking about micro flavors again, the Chianti has a taste of meat. An older, high quality Chianti that is, so go for a Chianti Classico. It'll say Classico on it. And that one should have some flavors of meat and of leather. Course 2 of 3 done, onto the sweet stuff. Then the food. We start with mince pies. Your 2 options for sweet wines are a port or Trockenbeerenauslese. The second, because you've asked, is a German wine that's gone through something very exciting called Noble Rot or Botrytis. It has notes of almond and of some vanilla and honey. Of the 2, I would rather go for a port. It just screams of Christmas. You have flavors of walnut and coffee. You need the wine to be sweeter than the food, and these wines can do that for you. Finally, total all-arounder. It's not a cheat, but let's just call it a cheat because that's more fun, is rosé. Rosé works so well for 4 different reasons. Number 1 is the temperature, is that you do want a chill rosé, so that's perfect on your hot summer Christmas day. Number 2 is the alcohol level, that it's lower in alcohol than a red wine, so you can likely get through the day a bit more stable. Number 3 is the acid level. It has higher acid like a white wine would, so it pairs quite easily with foods. And then your 4th and final reason, it has some of the tannins, the body, and the juicy red fruits of a red. So it brings such a nice balance to the food pairing. Okay, I hope you've had some fun and you found some paint by number menu moments. Good luck, have fun, and happy holidays.